Okay, so when I say the word rehab, what's the first thing that pops into your head? My guess is it's something like group therapy circles, maybe shared rooms, a total disconnect from your life. But what if I told you there's a completely different universe of recovery, one that operates in total secrecy, designed for some of the most powerful and influential people on the planet? All right, let's pull back the curtain and dive into this hidden world.
And this quote right here is the perfect place to start. Because for the C-suite execs, the global celebrities, the people running industries, addiction doesn't look like the stereotype. It doesn't hide in the shadows of failure. In fact, it often thrives in the high-pressure glare of massive success, fueled by that very same stress that makes them great, all while being hidden behind a perfect public image. You have to understand, for someone in that position, admitting they need help isn't just a personal crisis. It's a business crisis. It's a brand crisis. A single leak could send stock prices tumbling, destroy a billion-dollar deal, or just completely ruin the reputation. So the fear is so intense that many just suffer in silence, literally trapped by their own success. So, to really get why these sanctuaries are so unique, we have to reframe the problem itself. We have to move past the stigma and get into the science. Because this isn't a conversation about willpower or morality. Nope, this is about biology. And understanding addiction as a disease of the brain, well, that changes everything. And that last sentence right there is everything. It is not a moral failing. That is the core principle. The scientific community is crystal clear on this. Addiction literally hijacks the brain's reward system, messing with your dopamine pathways. You add chronic stress to that mix, which floods your body with cortisol, and you've got the perfect storm for disrupting your brain chemistry. This medical reality is the foundation for the whole model we're about to explore. So instead of just trying to manage behaviors, the goal here is something way, way deeper. They call it biomolecular restoration. And that might sound complex, but think of it like this. It's like doing a hard reboot on your brain's operating system. It's all about scientifically healing the actual physical and chemical damage that's been done. Once you fix that, the real psychological healing can actually begin. And that brings us to the solution, which is really built on three unshakable pillars: absolute privacy, clinical precision, and hyper-personalization. And just to be clear, this isn't just a fancier version of regular rehab. It's a completely different model of care, designed for a whole different set of problems. And this really shows you that difference in stark contrast. On one side, you've got the traditional model, right? It's centered on group therapy, you're sharing living spaces, and pretty much everyone follows the same program. Now, look at the other side, the VIP model. It's almost all one-on-one therapy, you live in a private villa, and the entire program is custom built from the ground up for one single person. 20 to 1, a 20 to 1 staff to client ratio. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. We're talking about facilities where a single client has their own dedicated team of up to 20 experts. We're talking psychiatrists, doctors, nutritionists, therapists, even a personal chef and a driver, all of them focused on one person. That is what hyper-personalized care actually means. And as you can imagine, that level of personalization comes with a pretty staggering price tag. We're talking nearly $400,000 for 1 month. Now, that number isn't just there for shock value. It actually reflects the immense resources, the world-class expertise, and the insane infrastructure it takes to create a true sanctuary for recovery. So, what on earth does that kind of investment actually get you? It's so important to understand this is not a luxury vacation. It's an incredibly intensive, medically supervised clinical program. So let's look at the actual blueprint for how it all works. The journey is super structured. It all kicks off with this incredibly exhaustive assessment that looks at everything: biochemical, psychological, you name it. Then, of course, a medically supervised detox to make sure everything's safe and comfortable. After that, you get into the real core of the program: intense, daily, one-on-one therapy. And finally, it all wraps up with a super detailed plan for lifelong aftercare. What's so amazing here is just the sheer size of the therapeutic toolbox they have. The clinical team can pull from dozens and dozens of different methods. So, for example, they might use cognitive behavioral therapy to help rewire negative thought patterns, and then use something like EMDR to reprocess deep-seated trauma. They can even bring in somatic experiencing to release physical stress that's literally stored in the body. It's all about finding the perfect mix of tools for that one person. And here's a feature that's an absolute game changer for these high-powered leaders. They call it the workflex infrastructure.
I mean, think about it. A CEO of a global company can't just disappear off the face of the earth for a month. So these centers get that. They build secure, fully equipped, high-tech office suites right into their private villas, which lets their clients keep running their empires without skipping a beat in their recovery.
And this part is absolutely crucial. All of this is built on a rock-solid foundation of medical legitimacy. These are not just fancy wellness retreats. They are licensed medical facilities with accreditations from internationally recognized organizations. Every single specialist is a vetted, qualified professional. That foundation of safety and trust is completely non-negotiable. So let's circle back to that massive price tag. It's really important to see it not just as a cost, but as a calculated investment. An investment in restoring a person's health, their career, and their entire legacy. So what exactly are you investing in? This table breaks it down pretty well. You know, a standard luxury tier could run you $60,000 to $100,000 a month. That gets you a private suite, excellent care. Then you can jump up to an executive VIP tier, which comes with that private villa and workstation, and that can double the price. And then you get to the very, very top, the ultra-luxury, one client at a time model. That's where you see prices going past $400,000 for that 20-person team and complete absolute seclusion. So after all this, the science, the money, the intensity, what's the outcome? Well, the goal isn't to promise some magical cure. It's about providing something much more valuable, realistic hope, and a truly sustainable path forward. Right. The key thing to remember is that recovery isn't a destination, it's a journey. These programs don't offer a finish line, they offer a new starting line. The whole goal is for a client to leave with this powerful toolkit of coping strategies, a deep understanding of their own condition, and a long-term support system that stays with them. Sometimes that even includes a therapist who travels with them after they leave. And this quote is maybe the most powerful argument for this whole intensive model. A lead psychiatrist at a top clinic in Zurich said that because of the sheer intensity of daily one-on-one therapy, they can achieve a level of progress in just 1 month that might take a full year in a typical once-a-week therapy setting. A year of progress in 30 days. Just think about that. And that leaves us with this one last question to think about. For a person whose reputation, whose family, whose entire company is on the line, the cost of failure is absolute. So in that context, when privacy isn't just a luxury but an absolute necessity, what is the real value of a second chance?